Hi, everyone. I'm Steve Konsek. I am a SBIR, STTR Program Director here at the National Science Foundation. Thank you all so much for taking time out of your day and to attend the webinar. Today's webinar is mainly going to cover how to apply and how to submit a proposal and a few tips on how to submit a good proposal to the NSF SBIR program. The information I'm going to give you in today's webinar, I'm going to try to be up to date as of April 14th, 2020. And the reason that I'm saying that is that this webinar is going to be recorded. And so for those of you where it's not April 14th and you're joining from somewhere in the internet, welcome to you too. So let me see. So the first tip that I can give you on how to submit a proposal to the NSF SBIR program is to please check out our website, SeedFund, all one word, seedfund.nsf.gov. The URL is given at the top of the PowerPoint here. This is a screenshot of what you'll see when you go to our website. And if you click on the Apply circled there in red, or if you click that Get Started button, it'll take you to the seedfund.nsf-apply page. This is really going to walk you through exactly the process for how to apply to the NSF SBIR program. It really takes you through the entire application process. You should bookmark this page, and please do refer to it really as your first line for any questions, because most of the most common questions in the submission are covered here on this page. Namely, that page is going to cover the main steps in the application process. First of all, how you submit a project pitch. Second, once you receive an invitation from a program director to submit the full proposal, what you should do. The third step after you get that invitation is to really register your company, and I'm going to be going through all of these steps in more detail, so hang on if you do have any questions about them. Number 4, really take a look at the solicitation. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a slide to come. Finally, you're going to draft your proposal and really get that all together, and finally you're going to submit your proposal through the NSF IT systems in an open submission window. So I promised you'd have a few tips. The first tip of the day is if you can submit your proposal by the end of the window, which is 5 p.m. on June 4th for the currently open submission window, your proposal is most easily going to fit into our normal proposal review process. That means we probably will already have panels sketched out, maybe even some panels set up, and we can easily drop your proposal into those upcoming panels. If you are not going to be ready to submit a quality proposal by then, and I really mean a quality proposal, that's fine. Don't worry about it. You can submit anytime in an open window, and you see the next window opens on June 5th. And if you're not going to be able to submit a quality proposal until that next window, it's fine. We sometimes can fold proposals that we receive in the next window in the prior window's panels that we've already set up, or maybe we'll set up a different review process for them. So really, you shouldn't sweat it too much on when exactly to submit your proposal. It's really going to be the best for us if you can submit it by the end of the open window. But if you can't do that, don't worry about it. Submit it when you have compiled a quality proposal. Your pitch invite. So the invitation that you've received to submit a full proposal is typically going to be valid for 1 year. Take a look at that email from the pitch process, because it outlines how long that invitation to submit a proposal is going to be valid for. And then you can submit in any open window up until the expiration date of that proposal submission invitation. So just so we're all clear, and I'm going to be using some of this terminology not only now, but at the end as I take your questions, and there will be a Q&A session at the end of this. You are all going to be applying for Phase 1 of the NSF SBIR program. That's to do something kind of akin to some kind of feasibility proof of concept work. You can request up to $256,000 for that Phase 1. Typically, it'll be a 6 to 12 month process, but really you can extend that and you can request more time. You can't typically request less time. 6 months is really the minimum. After you win a Phase 1, you can apply for Phase 2. Phase 2 is where the real money kicks in of the program. You can request up to $1 million spread over 24 months, and that is really to advance the technical work towards a prototype, towards a more, a more mature prototype kind of phase. You do need to win a Phase 1 in order to apply to Phase 2. There's no direct to Phase 2 process at the National Science Foundation. Some of the other agencies in the federal government, their SBIR programs do accommodate a direct to Phase 2. Right now, the National Science Foundation does not have any plans to do so. In Phase 2, you're also eligible for supplemental funding. The big supplement that you can get is what we call Phase 2B, and that is a matching supplement where NSF will partially match qualifying third-party investment or qualifying third-party funding that your company receives during the award. In that case, NSF can match up to $1 for every $2 of external funding that you raise, up to an additional $500K of NSF funding. So Phase 1 plus Phase 2 plus the other supplements, you're talking, around $1.8 million of non-dilutive funding for your company to help you de-risk your technology and to really be seed capital to help you grow your company and make yourself attractive to private capital and to launch your innovation into commercialization. The project pitch is where you start this whole process. You've all, I believe, been invited to this webinar today because you've already received the invitation to submit the full proposal. So a big check mark there. Presumably you all have successfully completed the project pitch process. In case you haven't, let me go back. If you go to seedfund.nsf.gov/apply, it talks about the project pitch. The project pitch was a process that we started at NSF to be able to give you quick feedback about your idea and where a program officer will look at a short description, the project pitch, and either invite you to submit a full proposal or give you a reason on why what you're working on is really not quite a fit for the NSF SBIR program. Then there are a series of reasons that are outlined actually in the solicitation of why your project might not be a fit. The idea with this is to be able to give you quick feedback on and quick assessment of whether you're in the ballpark of something that NSF might consider. If you're not, we don't want you to waste your time with doing all the registrations and taking the significant time it takes to really prepare a quality Phase 1 SBIR STTR proposal. So, but you've all accomplished this. You all have a proposal invitation. So what's the next step? Well, let's talk about it. You've all been invited now to submit a full proposal. The next thing you really need to do is complete these 4 required registrations. And again, if you go to seedfund.nsf.gov/apply, it talks about how to actually do these registrations and the links that you need to complete them. You'll need a DUNS number. You'll need to register in the System for Award Management. You'll need to register in research.gov and also complete the company registration in SBA. These registrations can take some time. Do them right now if you haven't started. There's no reason to wait, and sometimes depending on the number of people in the federal government that are trying to apply, for instance, on SAM or one of the other registrations. They can take, a week or two, sometimes longer, depending on how busy they are. So really get started on this today. NSF cannot accept a proposal from you until these registrations are done. You will, as I mentioned, you're going to register in research.gov, but please keep in mind SBIR, STTR proposals at this current time are submitted in FastLane, which is the other NSF IT system, not in research.gov. So you'll register in research.gov. These IT systems are linked, but they're not quite the same. But you're going to submit that proposal in FastLane. The next thing that you really want to do, and you should probably do this early, is actually read the SBIR and STTR solicitations. The most recent solicitations are linked here, but again, if you go to seedfund.nsf.gov/apply, you'll see the current solicitations are always going to be posted there on our website. Make yourself a cup of coffee. Make sure you're fully caffeinated, that you're going to be alert as you read these documents. We try to make them pithy, but these are formal federal government calls for proposal. So calls for proposals. So some of the language can be kind of dense, but there really is some incredibly important information in here. They really govern how we're going to be accepting your proposal, how we're going to be reviewing your proposal, what should go into your proposal, all of the major policy issues that are going to govern our consideration of your proposal, and also then the governance of an award if you do win an award. Really, it's all covered in these solicitations. So have your tall cup of coffee and read them thoroughly. Read them several times. Actually, the sections in there on how to submit your proposal we'll cover in a couple slides from now, but there really is some fabulous information on what goes into a quality SBIR or STTR proposal to NSF. We commonly get questions. You've noticed I've said, I think every time I've mentioned SBIR, I say STTR or SBIR or STTR. Most everything that I'm going to be talking about, and most everything about how you put together the proposal, the kinds of things that we're going to be looking for in a quality proposal, they pertain to both SBIR and STTR, but there are some differences. With the SBIR program, you are not required to have any explicit partnerships, although you can have a partnership, say with a university or a federally funded research institution. The small business must perform at least 2/3 of the research as measured by the budget. So that's the SBIR program. The small business can do 100% of the work. That's absolutely okay. With the STTR program, you do need a partnership with an eligible research institution. Who counts as an eligible research institution? Take a look in the solicitation. It's typically universities or federally funded research centers like national labs. But take a look at the solicitation. There is a formal definition. In the case of STTR, the small business must perform at least 40% of the research as measured by the budget, and your research partner must do a minimum of 30%. So you can take a look at those percentages and realize that there is quite a bit of leeway in how much work is done by the small business versus the research partner. There's a little bit of leeway in the SBIR program. There's quite a lot in the STTR program. So if you're going to be doing a lot of your work at Argonne National Labs, say, through a partnership that you have with them, in that case, maybe the STTR route is going to be better. If you're only going to be doing a little bit of the work with that research partner, then maybe you have a choice between SBIR and STTR. We review them the same. So I know some of you are thinking, which one will give me the better chance of winning? We review them the same. most of our reviewers don't even know the difference, and frankly, I don't even ask them to know the difference between SBIR and STTR. It's more of an issue of dividing up who is going to do what percentage of the work and how the budget is going to look. So I wouldn't try to game the system or try to, optimize things by thinking you have a better chance of one versus the other. And in fact, we have the latitude of companies we can swap and work with you, that if you've submitted an SBIR, to actually swap it to an STTR if we're looking to fund more STTR projects, and vice versa. There is possibility that we could move you to an SBIR, of course, with your approval, if we're looking to fund more of those due to budget reasons. So again, you put forward the project that you think is the best project to get to make the most progress for your company. You pitch that, and if we want to put you on the path to funding, we'll work with you to move you into the right mechanism if some leeway would be warranted. So in the solicitation itself, as I promised you, everything that you need to prepare your proposal is listed in Section 5 of that solicitation. See, I promised you there's some really good information in that solicitation. Take a look at that. Take a look at that proposal preparation, submission, and submission instructions in the solicitation itself. The actual, and this is again from the solicitation, as you prepare your proposal, the main body of the proposal is a 15-page project description. It's 15 pages max. We really do recommend, though, that you use that full 15 pages. 15 pages isn't a lot is not a lot to be able to fully convey the technical and commercial aspects of of a hot new startup. So we recommend that you use that full 15 pages. And in the solicitation, as you see here, this is what we're going to expect in that project description: elevator pitch, commercial opportunity, a bit about the innovation itself, describing the company and team, and finally, at least 5 pages of a deep technical discussion and a research and development plan. Here's a little hint for you. As you write this, think of this as an investment pitch that you're making to NSF. These are all the things that go into an investment pitch. Who are you? What are you doing? Why are you doing it? Who out there might care about it from a commercial standpoint? And then, of course, we are the National Science Foundation. We want you to geek out for 5 pages or so and really tell us in great detail why what you're doing is super cutting edge, and how what the R&D plan is that you're proposing to do with the Phase 1 money. That's what we're really looking for. But all of this is in the spirit of a really good, focused investment pitch. Furthermore, you are going to have to submit a budget, and also then there are some required supplementary documents. All of that is outlined in the solicitation. Again, Section 5 of the solicitation. Take a look at that. Make sure you stay compliant and submit everything that is required in a SBIR, STTR Phase 1 proposal. It's all in there in the solicitation on what you're required to submit. As I mentioned, you're going to be submitting your proposal on Fastlane. This is a little screenshot of Fastlane. You're going to be clicking on the proposals, awards, and status, and work through the proposal submission that way. Everywhere on the Fastlane site, there is that help, that user support number. And I have to say, our friends at the Fastlane help desk are super helpful. They're awesome. So don't hesitate to give them a call if you're having any general Fastlane issues. If you're having any specific issues about specific requirements for the SBIR program, refer to the solicitation and refer to, I'll show you also some additional resources that we have available for you on our website. So, but don't be afraid that if you are running into some FastLane issues, give the help desk a call. They're super helpful. The timeline for what you can expect, most of you probably are considering at least to submit in the current submission window, which is going to close on June 4th. What typically happens is within a few months, all of the proposals that we've now accepted for review and have met the eligibility requirements and other requirements laid forth in the solicitation, they'll all go through merit review, and we get external reviews, at least 3 external reviewers for each proposal accepted by the program, accepted for review. That happens in the first few months. The next few months roughly 4 to 6, we start follow-up on proposals that we are considering to put on the path towards award. We have lots of follow-up questions. We want to understand more about the business, more about the technical aspects. There might be some issues that are raised by the review panel that we're asking you to respond to. That's a normal part. All of that is a normal part of the follow-up. And that's a good thing when we start bugging you for follow-up on your proposal, because it typically means not that we're going to award it, but that we are considering to put your proposal on a path towards consideration for award. The last few months, within 6 months, if your proposal is fully recommended, fully signed off by the program and by NSF for instant agreement, you're going to get your money, and you're going to get the funding of $256K, and we're going to want to see you get to work. So all of this happens, and it is the NSF policy that we look to communicate funding decisions for the vast majority of proposals within 6 months of the proposal submission. And we almost always hit that unless there really is some extraordinary situation happening. So this is the typical timeline for a SBIR STTR Phase 1 review at NSF. I mentioned to you that there are other resources available to you, and this is a screenshot of our website. And at the top there, you'll see that resources, that drop-down menu, the resources section. If you click on the 4 applicants, there is a lot of really good information here about peer review. There's information on webinars, some information about our current grantees. There's a detailed FastLane guide that really walks you through that proposal submission process on FastLane. And then there's also an FAQ, which covers some really important information about your application. So definitely take a look at that FAQ. So again, that's in the resources drop-down bar at the top of the website, seedfund.nsf.gov. Click on 4 applicants. Oh, there it is. Yep, resources 4 applicants. FastLane guide, FAQ. The review criteria is listed in the solicitation. Take a look at it. We're really looking, we're going to be looking at 3 main topics: intellectual merit. How innovative, how is what you're doing really pushing the state of the art from a technical standpoint? We are the National Science Foundation. We insist that the projects we fund have deep technology underpinning the project. So that's the first review criteria. We're going to look at broader impacts, the impact to society. For most of the companies we fund are brand new startup companies. For us, providing seed capital to a new startup company, a new deep technology startup company, that in itself is a broader impact. So most of you kind of hit that broader impact a priori. And finally, the commercial potential. All of these deep technology projects that we're going to fund, they need to have commercial potential. We want to see, what is your market? Who are your competitors? What is your true competitive advantage? How is the NSF funding really going to move the needle and make an impact in the trajectory of your company or your startup? So these are all things that we're going to look at. So a few final hints. I mentioned it earlier, these registrations that are required of you before you even can submit your proposal to NSF, they can take some time. Don't wait to the last minute to get those done. Get started on them right away. We always recommend as soon as you get your invitation from the project pitch, your invitation to submit a full proposal, go ahead and prepare those registrations. Do read the FastLane guide that we've prepared. It really provides you almost like a click-by-click guide in how to submit an SBIR STTR proposal to NSF. It is super, super helpful. It's on the apply page, and it's also on that resources section. You can call the FastLane help desk if you have any technical issues with getting this information into FastLane. As I mentioned, the help desk, they're great. They're super helpful. And finally, don't wait to the last minute. You know, it's funny. We see the proposals coming in. Most of you on this line are probably going to wait to the very last day to submit your proposal. Don't do that. There's no reason to do that. Get started early. Give yourself plenty of time. And you really don't need to be rushing to submit your proposal on that final day. You can submit it early. We can accept that anytime. It does take a little while to get all the different components and modules. Even if you have the proposal all written, it takes some time to get all those pieces actually into FastLane. So give yourself time to do that and submit early. Don't wait till the last minute, although most of you are going to wait till the last minute. So that's just, that's just the way it goes. As I mentioned, seedfund.nsf.gov is really your first stop if you're looking for information about how to submit. Click on that apply, or you can click on get started. They go to the same page. If you do have further questions, first of all, thank you, of course, for your attention. If you do have further questions, the first stop really should be specific SBIR STTR questions that are not simple FastLane, like where do I click to submit this document, but actual questions about your proposal, about the contents. Go to the program officer that invited your proposal. They're going to be listed on that email that you received, inviting you to submit a full proposal in response to your project pitch. That program director, it could be me, it could be one of my colleagues, we get questions all the time, and you should just send that to the program director who invited you. If you have general questions, you can submit them to SBIR@nsf.gov. That's our general inbox, but it's better to go to the specific program director that invited you and then that has some familiarity with your project. Seedfund.nsf.gov, as I've mentioned many times in this webinar, is a wonderful, wonderful resource. Or you can follow us on Twitter, of course, too.